Hi, I'm the lovely Sardonyx. So, about a month ago, people were outraged on Twitter saying that their algorithm is racist. And I thought I could give some useful insight since my background in computer science, a bachelor's degree, has taught me that algorithms, artificial intelligence, and machine learning can discriminate, or in this case, be racist. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but hang on, I promise it'll make sense. Also, links to articles and studies mentioned will be down in the description. So, the most popular thread I saw was by a man named Tony Arcieri. He posted two pictures of Senator Mitch McConnell, or at least that's what the thumbnail showed. When you opened both pictures, you'll see that there's actually two long photos showing both Mitch McConnell and Barack Obama. Hey, this is editing Sardonyx, and it's gonna be confusing if I don't clear this up, but this is what the original picture looks like. That's the one that the dude on Twitter posted. I just put like a whole bunch of those on blank slates on paint, so that's why like if you see like 80 different faces, you understand that one column that's just one picture. Alright, yeah, back to the video. There's an AI Twitter created that automatically crops part of the image to fit in the thumbnail. This AI focused on McConnell's face over Obama's, and this wasn't a one-off issue either. In that thread, you can find examples where they alter images of both politicians. 2 Obamas, 3 Obamas, changing the color of the ties they're both wearing, and most of the time it still focuses on McConnell. Well, why does this happen? Why did these racist programmers create an algorithm that favors white people over black people, or more broadly, people of color? Well, it's not that simple. As I said in the beginning of the video, we're taught in school that AI and ML can discriminate. The only caveat is, 11 times out of 10, it's unintentional. There's 2 ways that this can happen. One way is by not noticing you're feeding the algorithm biased data to train it, and it gives you biased results back. Here's some real-world examples of this happening. One highlights an issue, and the other is a serious problem. Did you hear about the racist soap dispenser from a couple years ago? The white person swipes their hand under the automatic soap dispenser and it works the first time, but when the black person tries it, it doesn't work until they put a paper towel on their hand? So many people flipped out saying, they'll call anything racist now. These SJWs, these snowflakes are taking it too far. Or at least that's what I was seeing because I was in an edgy private Facebook group at the time. What was meant by it was racist was that they didn't use black people when training the sensor to detect hands. That lack of diversity stems from a very long and complex past of racism. Things like people with black sounding names are 50% less likely to get callbacks from jobs. Black people are more likely to have a poorer socioeconomic status because of the history of oppression in this country, like how it only became illegal to treat black people like second-class citizens 55 years ago. And all these examples will provide context on why you don't see as many black people in certain careers. Those are just a couple examples, but trust me when I say there are so many complex reasons that it could be its own separate video. Well, getting back on topic, AI has the potential to highlight a problem, but it shouldn't be used to fix that problem completely on its own. This shows true in my second example. Police departments using AI to predict where crime is going to happen. It's called Predictive Policing. The AI would predict where crime is going to happen, police would go to that area, and whatever data they collect, that would be either a hit or a miss if they found any crime, and they would use that data to train the algorithm even further. The only problem is the algorithm isn't going to be accurate on where crime is actually more likely to happen, just where police are likely to go to find it. In practice, this ended up causing police to constantly go back to the same neighborhoods and skew the crime rate far away from what it actually was. Don't believe me? I'm getting all this from a study called Runaway Feedback Loops in Predictive Policing. I'm pretty much summarizing their abstract. Such systems have been empirically shown to be susceptible to runaway feedback loops, where police are repeatedly sent back to the same neighborhoods regardless of the true crime rate. Now, in that study they never say what type of neighborhoods are likely to be affected by this, but I think, just by using a little bit of brain power, we can make an educated guess which neighborhoods they were probably sent to. It's gonna be black neighborhoods, okay? Well, not just black neighborhoods, poorer neighborhoods too, but most likely black neighborhoods. The second way AI can be racist is by telling it to look for an attribute that's commonly associated with one race, gender, or group in the dataset being used to train it. It's possible for an algorithm to be a combination of both types of discrimination I've mentioned. I feel like that's the case with Twitter's cropping algorithm. After having a somewhat heated argument with someone on Twitter, it seems like the most consistent explanation for the racist cropping is that it looks for contrast. For the life of me, I can't find the tweets anymore, but these tweets had many different pictures to prove them right, but hopefully you'll take my word for it when I says it really does their argument justice. The problem is, darker skin absorbs more light than paler skin, which makes it harder to get a good contrast. This is why if you're a person of color getting a colored tattoo, you can't just go to any artist. And once you find the right artist, the tattoo will probably get changed a bit so it can still show up well on your skin. So the algorithm isn't explicitly being told to favor white people, but it is told to look for contrast, which is far easier achieved with white people. Okay, so the algorithm favors white people, so what? When you force it to do something racist, it's gonna do something racist. This is a non-issue that's blown out of proportion. Stop playing the victim. Even if this is a one-off issue that's not hinting at further ones, it still shows the difficulty of using AI on humans. AI has a track record of being accidentally racist, from the soap dispenser to guessing a person's facial features, and it consistently made people of color look more white. We can't just look at this as a one-off issue because it'll never get fixed that way. But since this was an oversight, it's reasonable to wonder what else might have been overlooked. Personally, I think it's fair to wonder if Twitter's algorithm is more likely to recommend pictures and art of white people, since it's likely they'll have a more stark contrast. Let's say I follow a lot of photographers and digital artists. We all know the algorithm doesn't do the best job of consistently showing us tweets from everyone we follow. Who's to say the algorithm isn't more likely to show us pictures and drawings of white people on our feeds before it shows us those of people of color? And I did see one tweet from a black artist saying his art of black people gets less traction. Now, of course, I can't prove this is the case. That would be really difficult to do, but I don't think it's out of the realm of skepticism to think that it might. And if I were part of Twitter's programming team, I'd suggest that it's worth looking into. A couple days later, Twitter responded to the backlash, clearing up how they trained their algorithm and how they're going to fix it. And if they did their testing the exact way they describe it, then I can see how it became racist, because it comes back to the biased data thing I mentioned earlier. In their post, they said they tested their algorithm by comparing two different groups to each other: white and black, white and Indian, white and Asian, and male and female, and finding the preference through 200 trials with each pair. If those are the only 4 pairs they tested, then it is a no-brainer that the algorithm turned racist. Think about it. White people are the common denominator in the 3 of the 4 pairs. A total of 600 white faces versus 600 faces of people of color, which is far more diverse since that means anyone who isn't white. Plus, they don't even say the race of the people they use in the trials for male and female, but I think we can make an educated guess what most of them probably were. It may not show discrimination in those isolated simulations, but the algorithm is a lot more familiar with white faces. That's why I think when it went live, where it can't have restrictions like it did in testing, that it's racist. How do they plan on fixing it? They're gonna rely less on ML and give more options to the user, like previewing what the crop would look like before they post it. Personally, I'd like to see Twitter let people decide how to crop their pictures if they want to, but still have the automated feature for people who don't care. And it seems like that could be an option in the future, though they never explicitly say that in the post. And I want that because outside of racism, that algorithm is still trash. Sometimes you don't know what you're looking at until you open the picture. Like the one company that was selling satin lined hoodies and everyone thought they were selling satin condoms because the algorithm only cropped the hood. And I think me, the account selling the hoodies, and everyone else would like it if Twitter didn't have us thinking someone was advertising condoms instead of stylish clothes. I hope I've been able to clear things up a bit. It's really been bothering me on how many people I've seen have a reactionary response to this, saying that, oh, we're playing the victim here, when it's, in actuality, we're just educated people talking about this subject, saying that this is a problem, and we're getting discredited by people who don't know anything about it. So, if I've been able to clear things up for you, educate you a bit, then my job is done. Thank you for watching.